Now, this is a sales funnel, and so is this, and so are these. So while it can be quite confusing what on earth a sales funnel actually is, because there's so many different names, from webinar sales funnel to launch funnel to just a plain old lead magnet funnel, we'll cover all of that and more. So timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos to actually building out your funnel once you know what type of funnel to use. So we'll go through this basic funnel diagram, and then we'll start getting a little more complex. Now, of course, we'll kick things off with your traffic, right? This could be your YouTube channel, podcast, blog, or maybe you're running ads on Facebook or Google Ads. The traffic source doesn't always necessarily dictate what type of funnel you make. So when you hear something like Facebook funnel or YouTube funnel, pretty much talking about the same funnel. They're just talking about the traffic source that people are coming from, and it's not really going to make a huge difference on what you do with your sales funnel. Now, the front end of your funnel, or the very first part that someone is going to see when they hit your website, is going to be your landing page. And then on the landing page, we're going to offer something called a lead magnet. And the lead magnet is what powers this entire process, because if someone doesn't want your lead magnet, they're not going to share their contact information on the landing page, which means they're never going to see your sales emails, your sale messages, or be able to purchase your product or service. And again, we'll go through all of these in much more details in the coming sections. Then once they've consumed your lead magnet, you'll start sending them anywhere from 3 to 5 or 7 emails, depending upon your sequence. And those emails will drive all of your new leads to your sales page. And hopefully they decide to buy and they go through your checkout process. And that is all a sales funnel is. Now, when you hear different types of funnels, say webinar funnel or launch funnel, or maybe a VSL funnel, or just a text-based sales letter funnel, which no one actually says, but we'll go through that anyway. All they're talking about is changing out how the lead magnet is presented and how the sales message is delivered. So with a text sales letter funnel, all we're doing is going from having a video presenting our offer to having a long form text-based sales letter presenting our offer. And that's literally the only difference. And then when we get into a launch style funnel, the difference here is instead of offering a free guide, template, or PDF or Excel sheet as our lead magnet, we offer some sort of short training. And so you'll actually break up your sales letter into multiple parts. And so on a predetermined time frame, like once a day or once every other day, someone will receive a new video. And then of course the final video will actually sell your product or service. But everything else that surrounds it is the same. Finally, we have the oh so popular webinar funnel that is really just on the way out the door, because almost everyone at this point knows when you say webinar, it's code for sales pitch and no value, although it still seems to work pretty well. And so with a webinar funnel, all you're doing is skipping the lead magnet altogether and making the webinar itself the reason that someone should sign up for your email list. Of course, if the webinar itself isn't actually valuable, then they're probably not going to purchase your product or service, but that is a rant for another day. So those are the differences between the different types of funnels, but the core principles are the same. You're going to have a landing page, offer something of value, and then send some emails to drive them to your sales message. And that's pretty much it, if we were just going to bottom line it. Now, the reason that this whole process works is because of your lead magnet that is offered on your landing page. So when it comes to your landing page, we don't want to drive people to our homepage or any page on our main website for that matter. We actually want to set up a completely separate special page that does one thing. Like I said, one thing, and then I hold up 2 fingers, does one thing. It offers your lead magnet. So this is an example of what a landing page might look like. You'll have a headline, some bullet points, an example or some sort of visual representation of what your lead magnet is, and then of course a form for people to enter their contact information, join your email list, and receive the lead magnet. And speaking of lead magnets, this is what's going to actually power your funnel. So think of your lead magnet as your one opportunity, like I keep doing that, your one opportunity to demonstrate your worth and value to your new leads. That is people who just entered their contact information. Because if they get your lead magnet and they think it stinks, they're definitely not going to open any of your emails, and they're definitely not going to care about your product or service. Now, when it comes to the types of lead magnets you can have in the actual, like, what do we actually give people? It could be a PDF, it could be a Word document, or it could be an Excel sheet, or if you want to get fancy, some sort of front-end software. Now, when it comes to different types, I highly recommend starting with PDFs because they are the quickest to put together and they allow you to provide a tremendous amount of value without you spending a bunch of time, let's say, creating a 90-minute webinar, which could take months, I know, because I've had to write several of them. And so when it comes to the different types of PDF guides you can create, I'll link up in the cards and the description to a full-blown video that goes through lots of different lead magnet ideas. However, I recommend you start with an audit, a template, report, or resource guide. And so something that can give someone a very quick win. So we're looking to get them from point A to point A 1.5, right? We're not going from point A to point F, right? We're not trying to give them this super long, arduous, like here's the plan to achieve everything that you want. We need to make it small so that they can actually achieve something or get an aha moment right out of the gate. Because if we don't do that for someone who just joined our email list, then they're not going to be all that inclined to continue to open our emails or check out our sales message. And just keep in mind, this isn't about holding back information. You definitely don't want to do that, but we also don't want to have our lead magnet so big and so complex that it would take days or weeks to go through all the information or actually start to use it if you've created some sort of Excel tool. Now, the next step in our process is going to be emails. And this is where we're going to have anywhere from 3, 5, or 7, and I recommend having those numbers of emails that go out to people who just joined your email list. Now, obviously the first one, no matter how many emails you decide to do, needs to deliver the lead magnet immediately, right? So we want to make sure that first email gives them exactly what they asked for and then reinforces why someone should really find value in the lead magnet that they just got. Now, after this first email, I like sending 4 additional emails that drive traffic directly to a sales message or an affiliate offer if you don't have your own product or service to promote. And inside of these 4 emails, you can follow this simple formula. Email number 2, you can talk about a big roadblock that they might face and how you were able to overcome it with the help of whatever the offer is. You can also talk about a hero story of success in email number 3. This could be your own story of success, the story of success of the person whose affiliate offer you're promoting, or one of your past customers or clients. The last 2 emails are going to drive people to your sales letter, just like the other previous 2. But the difference here is you want to actually be talking about the product in those emails as if they've seen at least some part of the sales message. So you're a little harder on the sell, but remember that someone joined your email list less than 5 days ago, right? So we don't want to do any sort of hard selling here because if they don't buy this, which most people won't, they'll just drop into your emails sequences for future promotions and of course future content, and of course you can lead nurture from there, which again is a whole nother story. So I'll link up in the cards and the description to a full-blown strategy guide on what to do with the people who don't actually wind up purchasing your product or service via a broadcast sequence. So link in the cards and the description to that strategy guide. So hopefully they've at least clicked to your sales letter, which is going to be the next step in our process. Now, for your sales letter, there are many different formulas and forms you could use here, especially if you've chosen to do something like, let's say, a webinar or a text-based sales letter or a launch sales letter. So here are a few examples of how you can structure your sales letter, and I'll link up in the cards and the description to a much deeper dive video along with a resource that I recommend. So let's go through the first one. The first one is my personal favorite, and that's a special training. Now, this is a 20-minute or less video where you share a personal story of success, and you need to make sure that there's some sort of insights that they could take away and be successful with on their own, independent of your product or service. I know that's a little counterintuitive, but you want to make sure that someone who doesn't purchase walks away being somewhat satisfied with watching the video as opposed to walking away saying, wow, that was just 20 minutes wasted where I was just pitched this awful product that I don't care about, right? I know we don't think your product's awful, but a lot of people will have differing opinions. And so we want to make sure that we keep the door open for future sales and don't just burn our leads right after they've joined our email list. Now, the second type could be a video sales letter, and this one's going to be anywhere from 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And so this is much more in depth. You're going to have a lot more training in here and a lot more sales copywriting. And I highly recommend the book by Dan Kennedy, The Ultimate Sales Letter, if you want to go this route, because it's going to give you the formulas that you need to actually write this full-blown sales letter. And of course, you could also just write it in text form and then create the video later, so at least you have a sales page out while you figure out the whole video thing, because video takes a really long time. Now, speaking of more video, then we have the webinars. And you have two options here. You can have an automated webinar that you've pre-recorded, which is what I recommend doing, or you can have a live webinar where you show up and deliver the message live, which if you're just starting out, I definitely do not recommend, because you're going to have times where you have to show up and there's one person there, and then you have to do the entire webinar for one person. And from personal experience, I can tell you that is not fun. It's also not fun when nobody shows up. That's also embarrassing, right? So go ahead and start with the auto webinar if that's the route you want to take. Personally, we don't use webinars anymore because most of the people in the niches that we deal with understand that webinar equals sales pitch, and unfortunately most people who use webinars make really bad webinars, and so they've just given them a bad name. But it doesn't mean that auto webinars don't work, as well as live webinars. The only asterisk I have here is please do not pretend an auto webinar is live. There's softwares out there that try and trick people, and it's just not really good for any sort of niche or industry to continue that kind of behavior. So that's the only time I'm going to stand on a soapbox. But of course, it's your business. You're allowed to do what you want. Now, when it comes to what happens after the sales letter, this is where your checkout process starts. And we will get to different funnel softwares and what I recommend in the next section. And all you need to do on your shopping cart page is reinforce their decision to buy. You don't want to add anything new. So everything on your shopping cart page should be a reinforcement of what was in the sales letter or webinar or VSL or whatever your sales pitch or message was. And the other great thing to add to your shopping cart, if your software allows you to, is some testimonials, because that can also help with shopping cart abandonment. Although once you've gone through building this process, you will actually start to be surprised how many people make it this far and then just bounce out. They leave. Like, they'll click, they'll start filling it out, and then something in the back of their head says, "No, you really shouldn't do this. This is a terrible idea." And then they just don't buy. So good news, good thing we have their email so we can follow up with them, right? And the software I recommend using for following up with people would be MailerLite, or if you have the budget, ConvertKit. Those are my favorite autoresponders. GetResponse is another good one. And this slide shows you all of the different funnel building options you have out there. There are some that try and do everything under the sun. There's some that do one really well. I mean, when you're just getting started, I highly recommend either looking at GetResponse if you have a budget of $50 to $100 a month and you just want to get this entire process up and running. Then I'd recommend just going with GetResponse, because it will give you everything that you need, including the landing pages and the checkouts. You won't be able to do upsells, which we didn't talk about, but that's okay. You'll be able to get your entire funnel up and running for $100 a month and be able to send automated emails. If you're on more of a budget, then I recommend checking out ConvertKit or MailerLite, because both of those actually do now allow you to collect payments for your products, and they both have great automation features when it comes to what you can do with people's emails and creating advanced sequences that really don't matter all that much in my opinion, but you can be really advanced and detailed when it comes to ConvertKit. But their landing pages have a lot to work on. When it comes to MailerLite, they're not as strong with their emails automations, but their landing pages are good enough where you can make all of your landing pages and sales pages that you need. So I'll leave a link in the description to learn more about MailerLite and ConvertKit. And of course, if you do decide to upgrade from their free plans, we receive a small commission as a way to support this channel. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you have a much better picture of what a sales funnel is, what it could look like, and of course, all the different elements. Make sure you comment below with any of your funnel building questions and check out the links to MailerLite and ConvertKit for building your funnel and of course, automating your emails. So hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.